Hey guys, Chief Fruity here. This is the behind the scenes drop number 20. In this video I'm going to show you guys the sound design and kind of my thought process for working on this drop. So the first thing is I have these bass lines going. This is the lead that's basically just carrying the drop, like the main sound. So this is a layer. Here's the first layer, which is the main bass that's doing most of the heavy lifting. And then I have this layer on top of that. And what this is the second layer is a harmor. So by itself, that's kind of an annoying sound. It's really dry and really rich in harmonics. Now you can see in the harmor there's not too much going on here with the plug. So it's mainly on the output where it goes to track 9, where it goes through these distortions that gives it that sound. It's not so since it does get that sound with these distortions, I'm going to cut those, and this is the straight up harmor, and I'll add the distortions and show you how that affects it. So there is a log distortion on, and the amount is about 50%, and this is giving it an initial distortion. So without this, you just get a nice pluck with some prism on it and some harmonies. It's pretty basic. And then the B section I put on the log. So it's just a pluck with some distortion, and then I added even more distortion through this track with an effector, and it then sounded like this. And I put even more on with a fast distortion. And I played this pretty high pitch to layer with this bass, so it sounded like this. And then I mixed those two together, so this bass, the second high-pitched distorted pluck, was really giving the initial bass kind of that high end, the high harmonics that it needed to really pop it out a little bit more. So this first bass is playing 2 octaves at once to give it a thicker sound. So this is in a patcher, starting off with this harmor. So I really like making these basses inside of harmor with both Vocodex and putting everything through the envelope controller and finishing it all off with a wave shaper. This formula right here is great for making basses like this. In my new EP coming out called Dark Nights, which will be releasing on June 9th, features a lot of basses like this. So if you like this bass, you probably should listen to that. But anyway, I put the pitch all the way down just so when I go to the piano roll I don't have to shift it down. It's just a little bit easier to shift the pitch down right here rather than just scrolling down for 2 octaves. So I did that. Put it to 2 voices of unison. Get it a little bit detuned there. Doesn't look like I used part B at all. So that's basically it in the harmor. Really simple for harmor because most of the stuff for the synth is in the Vocodexes and the wave shaper. So this Vocodex, as you can see, a lot of stuff is going on. The wetness is boosted, basically to give it a thicker sound. I put on compression here, and the reason I put on the compression is since it makes it a little bit easier to master that way. Just since the sound is already being compressed through the Vocodex, it worked in this case. In some cases, it really messes up the side chains because then the kick is cutting through it, but it sounds perfectly even because this is basically so much compression, it's kind of like a limiter at this point. So that's what's going on with that. I boosted the band values, the band gain multiplier, and I put the band shift up a teeny bit as opposed to this. You can see it's even being automated in the envelope controller. That's the Vocodex right there. Well, that's the first one at least. Second one is pretty much a mirror image as for these two. Band gain and everything else here is pretty much just default. So I just boosted these. Just really highlight on these some more. Let's put that through the wave shaper, where I have this wave going on it. This wave is basically just a big distortion. You kind of hear it going on. Kind of hear that pulse, and that pulse is because this wave is changing the sound to a distortion. It's getting a pulse out of that. So with this envelope controller, this is on a filter cutoff, and then 1 and 2, these are the modulations from the Vocodex that you see happening right here. So that's pretty much it inside of the patcher. And on to track 7, I put this all through a Maximus to cut it down even more. And it is kind of hard to believe that even after both the Vocodexes with the SG boosted, with all that compression on them, that it is still having some peaks. As you can see right here, there's still those peaks and the differences. So the reason that's there is because it is going through this after the compressions. So after it goes through the compressors, then it goes to the wave shaper, and this gets it all messy, as in it is not level. So that's why I put this Maximus on it, to really even that out. So those are the two basses. This is the filter cutoff, just to kind of give it some sidechain with the kick, a little extra with the filter rather than volume. It also gives it a nice pulse in this section. And that's pretty much it for the bass. I did have a little sub here. Oh, not too complicated there. Sounds like I put a little bit of reverb on it. Let's check that out. Let's see if I did in fact put reverb on it. No, I did not. It just sounded different. Okay. And here I have these drums. Just pretty basic. So this is kind of my old style for mixing drums. Now I actually would do it differently. And what I would have done now is for the drum loop, I would have put an EQ on the kick doing this. Sounds a little bit better when you cut out these low frequencies that the kick doesn't really need, like sub 50 frequencies aren't really needed at all. Those just kind of clog up the kick. Although I do like how I mix these hats. Doesn't look like I really did anything to them, but the samples already had the highs boosted, so I didn't have to do that. You can tell those sound very nice. Now for the snare, put on a reverb. That was good, but I think that the sample to begin with wasn't really like that good. But still, that's why I chose it this time. So it still works. I still like what I did here, but those would probably just the changes I would make would be in the drums. So that's pretty much it for this section. In the second section, same bass is going on. It's just layered with 4 octaves instead of 2. So yeah, that's pretty much it for drop number 20. I hope you guys did enjoy this, and next week I will be releasing Dark Knight, so that'll be on June 9th, that'll be live on this channel, on Spotify, SoundCloud, all those places. I hope you guys enjoy it, and without any further ado, that's pretty much it for this video. Bye.